All right. And I'm going to take us to our Google Slides right here. So everybody can see, correct? Um, oh, I forgot to share the screen. Sorry, guys. My bad. Let me share. There we go. All right. Okay. Everybody good?
Yes.
All right, cool. All right. So we're going into week 3, okay, where we're talking about movement, and why when we're losing weight, movement is our best friend and why it's the most important thing. Okay. So here's kind of some of the topics we're going to go over just kind of under this umbrella. Um, we're going to start with a little recap of week 1 and week 2. So if you guys have any questions about the previous weeks, feel free to just raise your hand or you could type it in the chat. But yeah, we're going to talk about basically when we're dieting, we get to a certain point where we either have a choice to continue to drop the calories more to increase the weight loss or to increase the movement to continue the weight loss. And this week we're talking about why we're going to increase the movement as opposed to dropping the calories. So here's a little recap to start from week 1. Most of you guys were here to remember this. But if not, we talked about the importance of protein and vegetables when it comes to losing weight and the fact that these two food groups are the most satiating food groups. Protein helps keeps us full for a very long period of time. Vegetables are rich in fiber and micronutrients. If you guys remember, micronutrients are kind of like your vitamins and your minerals, and a lot of people are deficient in that. And getting these nutrients in throughout the day does help with energy and satiation. Um, both options are very low calorie, they're filling. So when we're going out to eat, these are the two food groups that we want to talk about. Hanan did a very good job of executing this last week. She ordered grilled chicken with some rice. It's perfect. It's exactly what we talked about. So very good job on that. Week 2, we kind of brought everything back in and we talked about some tips for eating out. Okay, so obviously, we're going to focus on ordering protein, preferably grilled protein, because as we know, deep frying foods adds a bunch of unwanted calories. So obviously, ordering grilled protein with vegetables. We're going to try our best to avoid heavy sauces and fried foods because, again, things like pasta sauce, olive oil, salad dressings add hundreds and hundreds of calories that we just, don't really need, to be honest with you. When it comes to alcoholic beverages, we're going to opt for clear liquor. And I really recommend, limiting this intake to 1 to 2 drinks per going out session. If need be, obviously if you can skip it, that would be the best. But clear liquor is our best bet. It's the lowest calorie liquor compared to beer and dark liquor and wine and any kind of sugary drink, sugary cocktail. These are the things we want to avoid. So clear liquor with like a diet drink, a 0 calorie drink, or just on the rocks is the best bet in terms of losing weight. Yeah. And what's this last one? Remember one? Yeah. So this last point was unfortunately not just for you guys, but for everybody, one outing of, one eating out session that's, very calorically dense, it can unfortunately undo a full week's worth of dieting, to be completely honest with you guys. Um, if we're kind of working for 5 or 6 days to stay in that calorie deficit and we're in a 2, 3, 400 calorie deficit each day, we can go out and very easily consume a 2,000 calorie meal when it comes to alcohol and fried foods and appetizers and desserts, which can, quite literally pretty much undo a full week's worth of dieting. So when we do go out, follow these tips so that we, don't basically shoot ourselves in the foot, right? And we work hard all week and we want the results at the end of the week. So make sure that when we're going out, we're executing these things that we talked about. So that's the recap from the first 2 weeks. Does anybody need any clarification on any of those things, or um, would anybody like to share some experiences that they had kind of implementing these two strategies over the last 2 weeks? All right, so we're gonna move on now to week 3. Okay, all about movement, why it matters. Okay, why it's our best friend for losing weight. So let's do it. All right. So as I just said, movement is your best friend for fat loss. Everybody likes walking, it's enjoyable. It helps increase our calorie, burn without lowering the food. And a 20-30 minute walk can burn 200 to 300 calories, which is pretty good. Obviously depending how fast you walk, going on incline, things like that. But that's a nice little boost in the day, a 20-30 minute walk burning a couple hundred calories. So some of the benefits for moving more, okay? When we're dieting, we're gonna pretty much reach a point essentially where we either have to continue to cut and drop our calories, or we have to figure out a way to move more. Okay. Um, the thing is let's just say you guys are, kind of dieting on 1500, anywhere from like 1500 to 2000 calories, right? You're on this track for a month or 2 months, you lose some weight, and then suddenly you stop losing weight. What happens with that is that your body kind of gets used to those calories that you're on per se, and you would either at that point have to continue to drop the calories more or increase your outtake, right? The thing with dieting on such low calories, 1500, 1600 calories, is that it's not a lot of food to begin with. So now you're in a position where you're going to drop it to what, 1200, 1100, 1000 calories a day. It's not an enjoyable life. It's not an enjoyable experience. So what I always recommend to people is before you drop the calories, consider increasing your movement first, okay? And this does not mean, you know, intense cardio by any means. It's very leisurely, very low impact, low level cardio that will be your best friend when it comes to this. Because like I said, a simple 20-30 minute walk, you could burn anywhere from 200 to 300 calories. And that adds up a lot. So I want you guys to think about this kind of like compounding interest, if that makes sense. The more that you can move your body throughout the day, the easier dieting is going to be, because you're going to be able to eat more food and still continue to lose weight. Okay. All right. So yeah, beyond losing weight, obviously walking has a ton of other benefits for your own health as well. Okay. So improved digestion, regulates blood pressure, controls blood sugar. It helps boost your energy. It helps to reduce stress and enhances mental clarity. One thing that I really want to touch on in this topic is the improved digestion proportion of this. Um, a lot of times when after we eat, we get a feeling, and I'm sure everybody can kind of relate to this. We get a feeling of, being kind of like tired and lethargic, and we don't really want to move. When we move our body after we eat, what we're doing is we are literally taking the muscles in your stomach, and we're making them work, and then we're making them digest your food a little bit quicker. And this helps a lot when it comes to digestion. It helps a lot when it comes to bloating. So if a lot of you guys kind of struggle with that, like big energy drop after eating or bloating after eating, I really do recommend trying to move after you eat for a little bit. And we'll go into in a little bit how long and how frequently, but that is one thing that is very, promising. Can anybody relate to that? I know that I can for sure. Like after I eat, the first thing I want to do is like lay down, especially on my stomach. Has anybody ever felt that way after eating?
Yeah, for
Yeah,
sure.
Definitely, right? Definitely. Yeah, Hanan said yes. Yeah. So, sorry. Don't want to get too far ahead. I think I'm going the wrong way. Sorry. Yeah, I went the wrong way. Sorry. But yeah, so that getting in some walking after eating is huge for this. Um and it really will help with digestion. Okay. The other one that is a nice benefit as well is it helps regulate blood pressure and blood sugar levels as well. So specifically with blood sugar, what happens is after we eat, after we consume anything, your blood sugar is going to spike. Okay, whether you eat something that's sugar based, whether you eat a protein, whether you eat a fat, it's going to spike regardless. It's not necessarily a bad thing, but the spike in the blood sugar also contributes to that crash that you get after eating because what comes up must go down, right? So if we can essentially move our body instead of the blood sugar spiking up, it just stays a little bit more flatline, a little bit more stagnant, I guess. And you don't get these big spikes throughout the day of, you know, oh, I eat, I have energy for 20 minutes and then it goes down, right? So just staying consistent with that is a really important thing when it comes to blood sugar. If any guys struggle with blood sugar, walking after eating is an excellent way to help control blood sugar. Um, and all these other benefits are really nice to moving. I don't think I have to go too deep into those, but the improved digestion and the controlled blood sugar are two points that I wanted to touch on with this. So how many steps per day, kind of should we be aiming for? Um, so a good place to start would be 8,000 to 10,000 steps per day. Okay. Um, Maybe that sounds like a lot to some people. Does anybody track their steps? Does anybody know kind of where they are stepwise? So what I would recommend for you guys, let's see, we got someone in the chat. Yes, Jess tracks her steps. She does. She does. She gets a lot of steps. And we'll go into a strategy too for somebody like Jess who already is moving a lot throughout the day. 8,000, 10,000 steps. It's a very, very good place to start. So your phone tracks your steps automatically for you. If you have an iPhone or an Android, it will automatically track your steps. In the iPhone specifically, if you just search the health app, it will be there. I'd like, that would be kind of a nice goal for this week is for everybody to post their weekly step count by the end of the week. What I will say with the phone is that obviously if your phone is not on your body, it won't track your steps. So if you do wear some sort of fitness wearable like an Apple Watch or a Fitbit, that's going to be slightly more accurate when it comes to tracking steps, but still, even the iPhone is a good place to start. 8,000 to 10,000 is a good way, and if you're very far off from that, I would say just try to increase it by 1,000 this week. You could probably get 1,000 steps in about 10-minute walk or so, 10-15 minute walk. So, if your average is like 5,000, you say, okay, I want to get to 6,000 for this week. Just add in an extra 10-minute walk into your routine. So for somebody, like Jess, who is very active, she goes on walks quite frequently. What I would say to that is if you're still struggling to lose weight, unfortunately, not unfortunately, but you have to do more, right? Because you've hit some sort of plateau, and in order to break through the plateau, you have to change something that's not working, right? So even if you are somebody that's goes on, walks a lot, I would still recommend let's increase your step count by 1,000, maybe 2,000 steps extra per week, per day. I'm sorry. to kind of help break through that plateau. Okay, because you're still in the same situation where, I'm dieting on X amount of calories, and if I want to keep losing weight, I got to keep dropping my calories, right? Like it's not going to be an enjoyable life. It's not going to be an enjoyable experience. So I would still always recommend everybody, no matter what, before you consider cutting your calories short or eating less food, consider increasing your activity level instead. And that's really the message for this week. We went over all the benefits that, aerobic activity provides to you and why, it's such an easy kind of cheat code because a 20-minute leisure walk is an extra 200 calories, right? That you burnt. That may be the difference in the week between being in a calorie deficit or not being in a calorie deficit. So that is something that I really, really urge you guys to do. Um, Being outside, it's nice out now, guys. So, if you can get outside, it's really, really beneficial for you as well. We live in New York, and most people are deficient in vitamin D. So if you're not supplementing with vitamin D, in the winter, now's the time to kind of load up on it. It's very, very good for your body. Vitamin D is a mood regulation hormone. That's why in the wintertime, everybody has what's called seasonal depression. When it's the winter, everybody's groggy and cranky and nobody wants to go leave the house. Could be a little bit of a vitamin D deficiency. So right now it's nice and sunny. We're gonna have a couple good days coming up, especially next few weeks going into the summer. So really urge you guys to soak it up and get outside because it's a really nice feeling just being outside, getting in some fresh air. I know I love it. We had a really cold, brutal winter, so trying to be outside as much as I can this upcoming summer. All right, so this is what we talked about beforehand, walking after meals, okay? So if you guys could, this will be something that will make a huge difference for you guys when it comes to your weight loss and your own health and kind of keeping you going on your fitness goals is to do a 10-minute walk after every single meal. If you guys could do this, you would see such a big change in your body weight, and the way you feel, in your digestion and not being bloated, week to, after each meal. So we talked about this a little bit, but essentially, when we eat that food, there's literal food sitting in our stomach, right? By moving your body, and it doesn't have to be a walk. If you have like if you have like a little bike at home and you want to pedal for 10 minutes, but just move your body for 10 minutes after each meal, you will rack up your step count because by default, you're at least getting in 30 minutes of cardio, 20 to 30 minutes. I would say most people 30 minutes because 3 meals. 30 extra minutes of cardio per day. So you're racking up your step count and you're gonna have less spikes in energy, less ups and downs throughout the day. You're gonna feel way less bloated. It really is a game changer, guys. And if you do have the time to implement this, I know it's not so easy for everybody, but I really, really would recommend it. Even if you can't do every meal, when you can, right? Everybody's kind of home for dinner, you know, eat dinner, go for a 10-minute walk afterwards. I guarantee you're gonna feel a lot better afterwards. So that's one strategy to getting in more steps frequently throughout the day is eat 10-minute walk, eat 10-minute walk, eat 10-minute walk. And that's someplace I would start for sure. Any questions so far with anything? Joined a little late, but you good on everything?
Going on? I'm good. I'm good.
Cool, cool, cool. Yeah. So again, if you guys could, I would highly urge 10-minute walk after every meal. It's gonna make a difference. Another one for you guys, another good way to implement some more cardio into your routine. So everybody here trains at Sage, right? And I'm sure everybody trains at least twice a week. Probably some people train 3 times a week, maybe 4 times a week. If you did 10 minutes pre and post workout, and we're only talking about, just you're getting in to your session 10 minutes early and you're staying 10 minutes after, you've just now racked up an extra 20 minutes per day, into your cardio routine. Say you work out 3 times a week. Now you have an extra hour of cardio that you did into your workout routine, right? So it doesn't have to be this big commitment. I know the number like 10,000 steps per day may seem like, scary to some people, but it's not this big number that you have to tackle in one go. Like I said, it's compounded interest. It's just implementing small habits, right? If you're going into a big parking lot and you're going into a mall, you're going into a store, whatever it is. I know it sounds dumb. Take the furthest parking spot, because you have to take a couple extra steps to get into the store. But these things add up and these things do make a difference when it comes to losing weight. And like I said, when you're in a situation where you are trying to lose weight and you're already not eating a whole lot of food, you're not eating a whole lot of calories throughout the day, um, increasing your activity is going to be really beneficial as opposed to continuing to cut your calories because you can't just keep cutting until there's nothing. I mean, dieting on 1,000 calories per day is not a sustainable lifestyle by any means. So, just the small little details, the small little things kind of throughout the day that you do, they will make a difference in the long run. It's not a benefit that you'll see day of, right? So just because you parked an extra 25 feet away that day doesn't mean you're going to wake up a pound lighter tomorrow. But as the weeks go on, you're going to see, okay, I'm consistently losing weight now. From week to week, I'm dropping a half a pound. I'm dropping a pound per week, right? Because you're being diligent with your habits. So now this is important too. Okay. So what zone are we in? What does that even mean? The intensity level that I want you guys to exert this, aerobic based activity at is a very, very low intensity. I'm talking about, pretty much zero effort. Um, when we break it down kind of scientifically, if you want to call it that, um, we have zone 1 and zone 2 cardio, essentially. Zone 1 and zone 2 cardio, all that means, if you don't know if you're in it or if you're not in it, if you don't have a way to track your heart rate, you should be able to do an activity and still be able to hold a conversation without being short-winded, short of breath. Okay, that's zone 1, zone 2. Zone 1 and zone 2 intensity, it's not intense at all, so it's almost leisure-like, and they are also fat-burning areas to do cardio in. When you're in these zones, you're exerting yourself for a prolonged period of time. Your body's going to naturally switch its energy source to burn fat for fuel as opposed to anything else, as opposed to muscle or carbohydrates. You're going to be burning fat. So these are the zones that we want to work out in. So we're going to do a little exercise real quick to get you guys engaged a little bit. We're going to calculate our max heart rate, okay? And then we're going to find what our zone 1 and zone 2 is, right? So zone 1 to 2 is roughly, 50 to 70% of your max heart rate, right? So zone 1 would be 50, zone 2 would be 70. So to calculate your max heart rate, okay, it's 220 minus your age. That's how we do it. All right. So everybody take out the phones, take out the calculators real quick. All right. I'm going to call on you guys one by one. You're going to tell me what your max heart rate is. And then just give me basically 50% of that. So just cut it in half. And that's your zone 1 that you want to be doing like this cardio in. All right. Who am I going to call on first? I'm going to call on Hanan first.
Okay, it's 177.
Okay.
Yeah,
And then half of that.
half of that. Oh, 88, 88.
Of 177?
Yeah.
Let me see. Yeah, 88. So yeah, so for you, right? When you're doing cardio, if you ever put your hand on the treadmill or if you have a wearable, roughly you want your heart rate to be, and it's a very rough guide, anywhere from like 85 to like 110-ish would be good.
Okay.
All right.
So I'm walking on the treadmill right now while I'm
Oh, good.
listening.
Good.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, my heartbeat between 111, 109.
perfect. And you can see how she's able to speak. Like if she's not short of breath, she's not winded, right? She can hold
Yeah,
a conversation effortlessly, right? That's exactly the type of zone that we want to be in when we're doing cardio.
It's very
that
productive. I mean, proud of you.
thank you. But I can't count my all steps per week. Like the app just give me like per day. How do I do it?
So are you on the iPhone?
I have iPhone, yeah.
Is that where you're looking at your steps?
Yeah.
So if you see your step count for the day,
Uh-huh.
if you kind of like go, actually, if you scroll down, it should say average
It
steps.
says every per day, not per week. Like because I don't exercise every day. Like some days I reach 750, say like 7,500,
Yeah.
and some days like only 3,000.
Yeah, so that number that you have, that's your average step for like over the last 7 days. It took like the last 7 days of steps, and that's the
Oh,
average that you have. What
okay.
if you want to share that number? What is that number?
You mean the highest or
Yeah, let's hear the highest.
the highest was Thursday? I think it was no, was about 8,000, but I'm not sure what day it was. It was Tuesday.
Yeah, so about
Yeah,
8,000.
yeah.
Okay, yeah. 8,000 is good. Good place to start. Okay.
Mhm.
I would say my challenge to you this week is to try to get every day 8,000.
Okay,
That would be a good place to start.
okay.
Elaine, you want to say what your max heart rate is?
75.
Max heart rate 75?
Oh, 150. So half of that is
150. Yeah,
75.
so 75. So when you're doing cardio, you want to be about, 75 to 100-ish would be good.
Okay.
All right, that's a good
Yeah.
place to start. Do you
Yeah.
do you know kind of any place how to track your steps?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
do. I usually can do 4,000, between 4 and 5,000 without trying. It's
Yes.
just like getting up and down and I don't know, whatever I do. I don't know what I do, but I guess I'm walking around somewhat. So
Yeah.
and then if I can increase it, another to up to 8,000, that shouldn't really be too difficult.
No, no. And like I said previous, like if your number's 5,000, right? Just
Yeah.
try to get on average 6,000 this week. You know what I mean? Start small and you can always keep increasing. Because the idea is you're doing more than what you were doing previous. You know what I mean? And then maybe in 2 weeks' time, 3 weeks' time, you're doing 8,000 a day. You know what I'm saying? But it is very easy to rack up the steps because, like I said, if you walk for an extra 10 minutes a day, you'll probably get an extra 1,000 steps in right there. So, like I said, if you implement some of the strategies that I just gave you, like doing a 10-minute walk after each meal or doing a 10-minute walk pre and post workout, by default, that's an extra 20 minutes of moving per day. That's another like 2,000 steps right there.
Yeah.
So that's a good strategy to try.
Feel so much better after I walk.
Absolutely.
I
Absolutely.
it's like if I have the blues and I go out and take a walk, I come back feeling better, smiling. So
Yeah. Yeah.
uh,
Vitamin D.
yeah, so I guess that does that.
Definitely. So that's going to be the challenge for this week for all you guys is to, kind of post what your average step count is currently this week, and then we'll see what it is next week by the end of the week. Jess, what's your max heart rate? You're muted. Sorry.
My max heart rate is 170, so
Okay.
85 is half.
Is half, so that's like zone 1.
Yeah.
Same thing, 85 to like 115-ish is kind of where you should be in
Right.
doing your walking. Yeah, and I would say, if you are kind of increasing it into that maybe like 130-ish area, it's not the end of the world. I would say for sustainability, right? If you're going for a long period of time, it's best to stay like in that zone 1, zone 2 area, so that we can do it for like a duration, right? What we're gonna go over in a little bit is like what's the difference between like jogging and walking per se. And like even though like if you do like 10 minutes of jogging versus 10 minutes of walking, you burn more calories jogging. If you can walk for longer, which is a more sustainable way to do cardio, then you're not going to have that burnout, right? So that is one thing that I would preach with that is, just you don't have to be obsessive, but just be mindful, maybe look at, your heart rate monitor, Apple Watch, whatever it is, every 5-10 minutes, just see, okay, I'm in a good spot here. Just kind of keep it in there. Victoria, what's your max heart rate?
It's 192 and
Right.
then divided 96.
It's 96. So yeah, for you, like 100 to 120, 125-ish when you're doing zone 1, zone 2 cardio.
Okay.
All right. Do you
If I'm
work?
on the treadmill, is a good way to do that, like just putting on the incline maybe, like to get me there? Like what kind of like what do you recommend there if
So
I go
you're
to the gym?
saying that when you do it, like you can't even get it that high.
Oh, okay.
Is that
No,
what you're saying?
I haven't tracked it to be honest, my heart rate like that
Okay.
much. Just trying to get the steps in,
Yeah.
but I didn't really think about that too much until today.
Yeah. So what I would say is if you are struggling to kind of get it into that zone 1, zone 2 area.
Hmm.
There is like a zone 0. Zone 0 would just be like what your normal resting heart rate is probably like around like 50, 60.
Yeah.
Then you're not walking fast enough, So yeah,
Hmm.
at that point, what you could do is you can increase the speed, you can increase the incline. You're just gonna make the walk slightly more challenging for you,
Okay.
you know. But also don't hop on and like in 2 minutes expect you to be like, at 100 beats per minute either.
Yeah.
Give it 5-10 minutes and
Hmm.
then see like, okay, is it still low? Yes. Okay, I'll adjust here. Am I good? Because typically that's what it is like even if you're walking at a fairly easy speed, like a speed 3,
Hmm.
um, if you give it like 10 minutes or so, your heart rate will start to get up there.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
You're welcome. Do you track your steps at all?
I do. I track it on my watch
Okay.
throughout the day, and then I do track it on my phone too.
All right. So what does the watch say? I would say the watch is more accurate.
Okay. Yeah, that's what I figure. Sometimes I feel like the numbers don't always add up.
Yeah.
Like throughout the school day, I work at a school, so I feel like by the time I get home, I'm like I have 5,000 steps just about just from walking around there.
Yeah.
And then so I try my best to like get to 10,000 every
Okay.
day. That's like the goal. But
Yeah.
I feel like even like some days I don't get as much, so then I'll try to go to the gym and then like make up for lost steps.
Yeah, that's fine. That's a decent strategy. Um, it's funny because like last week I said, like if you have a bad week of, or if you have a bad night of eating, like don't try to make up for it. In this
Yeah.
scenario, it actually isn't the worst thing in the world. Again, everything in moderation. You don't
Mhm.
have to go crazy. But the more you do, the better, really.
Mhm.
But what I would say to you is like, if you are in a situation like that where you're working in a school, so you're probably a little bit more stationary throughout your day.
Mhm.
Uh,
Yeah.
how often do you go to the gym to train?
So I go to Sage twice a week to
Okay.
train,
Okay.
and then I try to do cardio like 2, 3 times a week
On your own.
on my own, and then like Pilates like once a week. So like I try to keep busy and do like different things,
Yeah.
but I feel like I've been trying to focus on getting the 10,000 steps per day, whether it's at the gym,
Hmm.
like depending on the weather, or at least just like around the neighborhood, going to the park and
Yeah.
then
So I would definitely recommend for your, I'm sorry, you said 3 times a week at Sage?
I'm twice a week at
Twice,
Sage.
right. At your twice a week, do 10 minutes pre, 10 minutes post.
Okay.
Okay, because that's an easy extra 40 minutes, basically no effort right there. 10
Yeah.
minutes pre, you're just going to be warm anyway for your session. Um,
Hmm.
and then days where you aren't going into Sage to work out and you're just going to the gym on your own to do cardio. If you're getting home and you're at 5,000 and you go in and you do 30 minutes on the treadmill, just leisurely walking, I would say you'd hit the 10,000 by the end of the day.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would say because I know just from my own experience, I can kind of like I do the same thing. Sometimes I'm, working for the majority of the day and I'm like, I want to get some cardio in. I walk for 30 minutes, I come home and I'm like, oh, okay, I'm at 10,000. I'm good.
Exactly. That's the thing. I'm like, okay, as long as I hit that number, hopefully. But it's good
Yeah.
to know I can rely on the watch a little bit more.
Yeah, definitely the watch. Because with the phone, if you're not holding your phone, then it's not tracking your steps. So even if like you put the phone on the treadmill, it's not on your body. So it's not tracking your steps.
Yeah, no, you're right.
So
Thank you.
I would definitely go with the watch. Alexa, what's your max heart rate?
I don't know if I did it right, but mine said 198.
220 minus your age.
So yeah,
Yeah,
198.
198. Yeah. So then half of that would be
I
about
think
100, right?
99 it
Yeah,
said.
99.
99.
Yeah, so again, for you, zone one, zone two, about 120, 100, about 100 to 120 is a good zone rate to be at. Um, and then we spoke actually earlier a little bit about step count and
Yeah.
your watch and everything. So we're kind of good on that. But yeah, the point of all this is like, it doesn't have to be intense cardio. So long as you can hold a conversation and you don't feel extremely gassed or extremely winded, then we're all good to go. All right. So we're gonna be wrapping up here soon. Yeah, so this is actually what we just did. So that's perfect. I got a little ahead of myself. Yeah, so walking versus jogging. All right. So basically, this is pretty flat out. A 10-minute jog, you're only burning about 110 calories versus a 30-minute walk, right? So this is why I want to do walking over jogging because jogging is high intensity. It's not great for your joints and it's hard to sustain for a while. Like, yes, is 30 minutes of jogging more than 30 minutes of walking when it comes to calories? Yes. But, unless you're a pretty experienced runner, to jog 30 minutes every day is probably just not realistic for most people. Um, I'll be honest, I can't even myself jog for 10 minutes right now, at a time. Sure, obviously other people can in this group, but it just goes to show that it's hard. It's not a sustainable form of cardio. Walking is easy. Walking everybody can do. If you could jog for 30 minutes, a couple times per week, yeah, you definitely would burn more calories than walking 30 minutes a couple times a week. But most people, will be able to either jog around 10 minutes or walk, 30 minutes plus. So walking for the 30 minutes plus is your better bet. Um, and yeah, so we're kind of wrapping things up here. So track your steps, right? We're gonna kind of take a look at that this week. We're gonna either look at our phone health app or smartwatch to see kind of where our steps count is at. And all I want from you guys this week is to just try to increase it by like 1,000, per day. Ooh, Erica just joined. We'll get Erica in here real quick. Hey, Erica.
Hi, sorry, I
Hi.
just left.
No problem, no problem, no problem. We're just talking about some movement here right now. So what we're saying is we want to track our steps with the smartwatch this week. And like a small increase in steps, right? So nothing too crazy. We're gonna aim for like 1,000 to 2,000 extra steps per week. And make it fun. Like, when I do my cardio, always definitely on TikTok for a good 20, 30 minutes. Probably not the most productive use of my time, but listen to a good podcast. Some people can read while they're on the treadmill. I don't know how people do that. I can't do that. But make it enjoyable for yourself, and it definitely helps the time go by a little bit quicker. And this is big, guys. Be consistent, not perfect. So a lot of times in weight loss, you know, perfect is the enemy of good, right? Like if we're not perfect, then we don't even want to try it. Which I think is a big mistake. Just be good for a longer period of time. Be good for a year and see where you are at in a year's time. You're gonna like the results that you have, right? So don't be perfect, spot on with everything for a month, 2 months, and then you have a meltdown afterwards. Just consistently, day by day, be ticking the boxes. Just being a little bit better than you were yesterday every single day, and that's how you see change, guys. It doesn't happen overnight. So it's a lifetime commitment. It really is. And it's implementing these habits into your life slowly but surely. The more you do them, the more successful you'll be over the long run. Like I said, it's not about what are we going to do at the end of this class. How much weight did I lose in 6 weeks? Or how much weight can I lose in 3 months? It's like, okay, can I be consistent for a year in a row? Can you do that? If you're going to do that, you're not going to be perfect for a year. You're going to have days where you don't feel good, you feel unmotivated, things get messed up, but it's just about giving 80-90% every single day when it comes to this lifestyle, and you'll be able to see big change over time. So these are our objectives for this week. We're going to post in the Facebook group what our step count is pre and post this week. So when you guys get off, just shoot a quick post in the group, tell me what your step count is, and then we'll check in again Saturday or Sunday. We're going to aim for 8,000 to 10,000. If you guys aren't close to that now, I would say just try to increase it by 1,000 or 2,000 per day. Let me know you guys are walking. Give me a photo, share a photo, and some tips to kind of help you get there. 10-minute walk after every single meal, and or 10 minutes pre and post workout when you guys are in that stage. And that's it for week 3, guys. Any questions?
No.
Okay, did everybody understand everything? We're all good. Give a thumbs up if we're good. Yeah. So I'll let you guys go. Okay, Erica, if you want to stay on, I'll do some review with you about what we just did. And then yeah, we're all good to go, guys. So post
All
your,
right, thank you.
you're welcome. Post your step counts in there, and enjoy your week and try to implement some of those things we talked about.
Thanks so much.
You're welcome.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Hi.
Bye-bye.
Hey, bye, Danny. Say what's up to John.
Him,
There's still people on here, bro.
you talking to your girlfriend.
No, I gotta, dude, the track, yo.
Who was that?
Yo, the mouse died. I can't mute it, bro.
Who was that girl?